After my baby was born premature, I sent a message to the family group chat. "We're in the NICU. Please pray." My aunt replied, with vacation photos from Hawaii. No one came to visit. A month later, I was still in the hospital cafeteria when my phone lit up with 84 missed calls and a message from my brother. "Answer. This is bad." I'll never forget the moment the NICU nurse told me I could finally touch my daughter. It had been 5 days since she was born. 5 long days of alarms, tubes, and watching her tiny chest rise and fall behind glass. She weighed just 2 pounds, 4 ounces. Her skin so translucent, I could see every vein. Nothing prepares you for that. You imagine giving birth, holding your baby, taking pictures, sharing the moment with family. Instead, I sat silently beside machines I didn't understand, afraid even to breathe too loudly. And I was alone, not emotionally, but physically. No one had shown up. At first I thought maybe they were waiting for the right time, or giving me space. I had sent the message clearly. "We're in the NICU. Please pray." Simple, honest, desperate. I stared at my screen, waiting for it to light up with love. Only Aunt Brenda replied. 3 pictures from Hawaii. Her feet in the sand, a drink in her hand, and a sunset captioned "Best view ever." No words about the baby, no concern, just hashtags and photos. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. My daughter was fighting for her life, and I needed to stay calm for her. The silence from everyone else said more than words ever could. Not my brother, who I once drove 5 hours to help through a breakup. Not my cousin Liz, whose rent I paid when she lost her job. Not Brenda's daughter, who I let stay in my home for months. Days turned into weeks. My husband was stuck in Oregon, finishing a contract he couldn't break, and though he felt helpless, I told him I was fine. I wasn't. I was living on cafeteria food, showering in the family center, watching my baby through glass. Her name was Riley. No one even asked. On day 31, I sat with my usual cold coffee, scrolling through pictures of Riley. She looked stronger, still tiny and wired up, but full of fight. For the first time I felt hope. Then my phone lit up. 84 missed calls. Most were from my brother. His last text read, "This is bad." I called him back. His voice was rushed, panicked. "Dad collapsed, brain bleed. He's in surgery." Everyone was already at the hospital. Mom, Brenda, cousins, even Liz. Of course they were. Then he said, "You need to come. Mom's SIP's falling apart. We need you." Not "How SIP's Riley?" Not "Are you okay?" Just "We need you." I reminded him I had been in the hospital for 31 days, that my 2-pound daughter was still fighting for her life, that I'd been eating from vending machines while they all carried on, like nothing happened. I asked if he even remembered my message. He didn't answer. Said everyone thought I wanted space. I didn't set yell. I didn't set argue. I just said, I'm not leaving Riley. Not now. Not for this. And I meant it. He called again. I let it go to voicemail. Then came the texts, guilt trips, apologies, excuses. I read them all and deleted them one by one. I didn't feel anger anymore, just clarity. For years I'd been their problem solver, their safety net. I paid bills, remembered birthdays, helped through every crisis. But when it was my turn, no one showed up. So I stopped. I turned off my ringer, slipped the phone into my pocket, and went back upstairs. Riley was asleep, her little arms stretched out, breathing on her own for the first time. The nurse said we'd start bottle feeds soon. I looked at her and felt something settle inside me. I didn't owe anyone anything anymore. 2 days passed in silence. No calls, no texts, nothing about Dad, nothing about me. The same family who once called non-stop now vanished again, once they didn't get what they wanted. I didn't reach out either. I just sat beside Riley, watching her grow stronger, ounce by ounce. Then Aunt Brenda showed up, unannounced. The nurse told me she came in wearing sunglasses, holding a shopping bag of expensive cookies, dropped them off without asking to see Riley, and left. That was her grand gesture. Later my brother texted, "So you start cutting everyone off now after everything we've done for you?" I thought about every time I helped him, rewriting his resume, paying for repairs, covering tuition, and never once throwing it in his face. I texted back, "You left me alone when my daughter was fighting to live. I'm just doing what you taught me." Then I blocked him. That night, I logged into the tuition account I'd set up for my nephew and canceled the payments. I stopped the rent transfers I'd been sending Liz. No warning, no explanations. The next day, Liz texted asking if her rent payment failed. I didn't reply. Brenda sent a photo of flowers with the caption, "Thinking of you and the baby." I deleted it. By evening, unknown numbers started calling. Cousins I hadn't heard from in months. I ignored them, because when people realize their constant helper is gone, they don't reflect, they panic. Not because they miss you, but because they miss what you did for them. But that version of me, the one who always said yes, disappeared the day I sat alone in that NICU and saw vacation photos instead of comfort. They made their choice. I just followed it. Now, as Riley breathes on her own, gaining ounces and opening her eyes longer, I finally feel lighter. The weight of everyone else's expectations is gone. Piece by piece, I'm learning that being her mother is enough, and that's all that truly matters. By that point, I knew which vending machines always jammed, which nurses liked jazz, and which ones gave honest updates without sugarcoating anything. Riley was gaining weight quickly. Her tiny hands held onto my fingers longer each day, and the doctors had started mentioning a possible release in a few weeks. There were still challenges ahead, but we finally had a rhythm, one that no longer included my family. Then, unexpectedly, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my grandfather. No emoji, no forwarded prayer chain, just "Call me tonight." Alone. I hadn't spoken to him in months. He was never one for gossip or drama, quiet, traditional, but respected. When he spoke, everyone listened. That night, after Riley fell asleep, I stepped outside and called him from a bench near the ER entrance. He answered right away, no small talk. He said he knew what had been happening, how no one had visited, how Brenda had gone on vacation, how my brother was telling everyone I'd turned cold. He'd seen the group messages himself. I didn't ask how. I didn't need to. Then he said something I didn't expect. He was rewriting his will. He said he was tired of everyone circling around him, pretending to care, all for inheritance. He'd been watching it for years, but what they did to me and Riley had crossed the line. He told me he'd already met with his lawyer. Everything, the house, the Vermont property, the investments would go to Riley, not to me, but to her. Because he said, she was the only innocent one left, the only one who deserved a clean start. I sat there under the streetlight, speechless. I told him I wasn't expecting anything, that I never did this for money. He said he knew. That's exactly why it would go to her. Then he added, almost reading my thoughts, "They think you need them, but you were the one keeping this family together. Once you stopped carrying them, everything started to fall apart." We didn't say much after that, just a quiet goodbye. The next morning, the group chat exploded. Screenshots of a legal document, blurry photos, Brenda typing in all caps, my brother spamming question marks. No one mentioned Riley. No one asked about us. It was all money, property, and accusations about what I had said to him. Turns out, my grandfather had called a family meeting. Everyone showed up, expecting an announcement about downsizing or early gifts. Instead, he handed each of them a folder with the new will, then simply left the room. No explanations, no discussion, just finality. Brenda was furious. Liz sent a passive-aggressive message about honoring family tradition. My brother tried to FaceTime me twice. I ignored him. I sat in the NICU holding Riley against my chest, feeling her heart monitor beep softly, her warmth finally real in my arms. The real weight I carried wasn't financial, it was emotional. Years of being the one who showed up, while everyone else took. Now the weight had shifted, and they didn't even understand it yet. They thought this was about money, but it wasn't revenge. It was simply the result of their own choices. And it wasn't over, because I hadn't told them what I was planning next. For 3 days, I said nothing. Let the messages pile up. My brother sent a dozen texts, some angry, some calm, trying to reason. Brenda sent a voice note about family unity. Liz reached out asking to talk, just us girls, which was ironic considering her silence when I was alone in the NICU. Meanwhile, I was quietly preparing something else. Riley was getting stronger every day, and I'd been working with the hospital's social worker on paperwork. I was moving not across town, but across the country. A position had opened at the Children's Hospital in Colorado, where my husband had just accepted a permanent job. The role was part-time, flexible, and came with relocation support. Best of all, it included a spot for Riley in their NICU follow-up program, giving her access to ongoing specialist care. I told no one except my husband and one trusted nurse. I didn't owe anyone else that information. 2 days before our flight, I finally replied to the group chat. Not with words, just a photo. Riley asleep in her car seat, 2 suitcases packed behind her. Brenda responded first. Where are you going? Liz followed. Wait, what is this? Are you moving? My brother came last. You stir seriously doing this after everything? As if I were the one who had abandoned someone else in a hospital bed. I didn't reply. The next day, the hospital room was cleared. Riley was discharged. We boarded the plane, just me, my husband, and our daughter. I held her the entire flight. No tears, no hesitation. That night, at a hotel near our new apartment, my husband asked if I wanted to block them. I said not yet. I want them to see what life looks like without me. In the following weeks, I posted a few quiet updates online. Riley's first nap in her new crib, her checkup at the new hospital, a small smile at a ceiling fan. They didn't comment, but I saw the views, the silent watching, the realization that they were no longer part of our story. Then a letter arrived from my grandfather. Handwritten, he said he was proud of me. He hadn't told the others yet, but he made another change. The trust would be divided early. Riley's portion was being transferred into an education fund that only she could access. No co-signers, no interference. He wrote, "They took your kindness for granted. Now they shall see what happens when that kindness goes somewhere else." I read it twice and placed it in Riley's baby box, beside her photo from the NICU. The family didn't collapse overnight, but cracks started showing. Liz posted about rent struggles. Brenda hinted at selling her condo. My brother's kid was pulled from school mid-semester. I didn't celebrate. I didn't respond. I wasn't angry anymore, just free. Then came the small attempts at reconnection. A few likes on old photos, vague comments on Riley's posts. I ignored them, until 6 weeks later, Liz broke first. She emailed a long message, circling around the word sorry, without ever saying it. She wrote about how no one realized how serious things had been, how she hoped we could reconnect as a family, and ended with Riley deserves to know her roots. Roots. She didn't mean heritage. She meant access. I didn't set reply. A week later, a box arrived with no return label. Inside were oversized baby clothes, a teddy bear, and a note in Brenda's handwriting. For my little princess, let's let the past go. I put everything back in the box, sealed it, and stored it away. Then my brother appeared, literally. My doorbell camera alerted me. He stood outside, hands in pockets, staring up at the door. I hesitated, then opened it. He looked tired, worn. "I was passing through," he said. though we both knew he wasn't. After a pause, he added, "We miss you." I let the silence stretch, then said, "You don't miss me. You miss the version of me that paid your bills, fixed your problems, and held everything together." He didn't argue, just lowered his head. Then he said, "Mom Sep's been asking about you. She thinks this is all a misunderstanding." I asked if she was confused when Riley was in the NICU, and no one showed up. He had no answer. He nodded once, and left. I closed and locked the door. That night, I sat in Riley's nursery, her asleep on my chest. The soft glow of her nightlight filled the room. For the first time in months, I felt peace. They could try guilt, nostalgia, or false warmth. It didn't matter. I finally understood that love isn't proven during crises. It's proven in the quiet days that follow, when there's no audience, no drama, just choice. My family showed me who they were when they didn't show up, so I stopped waiting. I built a new circle. Neighbors who helped carry groceries, friends who dropped off meals, kind people who had no obligation but cared anyway. Months passed. Riley grew stronger, her cheeks round, her laugh easy. The doctor said she was thriving, and she was. One morning, I got a voicemail from my grandfather. He said they still don't understand, but that sep's not your burden anymore. He sounded tired, but at peace. That same week, my husband and I took Riley to a small mountain cabin. We left our phones in a drawer. I watched the sunrise over the snow, with my daughter in my arms, and realized something important. They will always want back in. They will always test the boundary. But I'll always remember that silence in the NICU, the space filled not by strangers, but by the absence of those who should have been there. And that silence taught me the most important truth. Not every family deserves a second chance. Some just deserve a closed door.